Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we are going to discuss about internal control structure. Jadi hari ini kita akan membahas tentang pemahaman atas struktur pengendalian internal. So today I will explain in both languages, in Indonesia and also in English, because in LMS there is an international class and also the regular class. I hope you all can understand what we are discussing today. So internal control structure is coordinated and determined actions within a company to secure or protect its assets, test the accuracy and correctness of bookkeeping data, improve operating efficiency, and encourage compliance to the management policy. So, internal control is all the actions that the company do to protect their assets and also to make their bookkeeping accurate and correct, and also to improve efficiency and also to encourage compliance in the company. Jadi struktur pengendalian internal itu adalah tindakan yang terkoordinir dan yang ditetapkan dalam satu perusahaan untuk mengamankan atau melindungi hartanya, menguji kecermatan dan kebenaran data pembukuan, meningkatkan efisiensi operasi, dan mendorong ditaatinya kebijakan manajemen. Jadi, struktur pengendalian internal itu adalah semua kegiatan perusahaan ya yang dilakukan untuk mengamankan atau melindungi hartanya, memastikan kecermatan dan kebenaran data pembukuan, meningkatkan efisiensi, dan ditaatinya kebijakan manajemen. Nah, sekarang kita lihat tujuannya ya. Okay, so the objectives of the internal control structure is first to safeguard the organization's wealth, to ensure the reliability of accounting data, to improve performance efficiency, and also encouraging compliance to the management policies. So the internal control is done to fulfill these four objectives. So the example of how the company is safeguarding the organization wealth is like by putting cameras in their company and also hiring security officers and also saving the cash inside the bank and stuff. So efforts of the company to save their assets is an internal control. Okay. The next one is the ensure the reliability of the accounting data. So what does the company do so their accounting data is reliable? For example, they recruit several accounting staffs with different assignments, and also there are managers who watch their work. So if there is any mistakes, the manager can ask the accounting to fix the accounting data. So the result of the accounting data will be reliable. Okay, so recruiting the accountants and making different tasks and also supervising is also the forms of internal control in a company. And then to improve performance efficiency is like to make sure when it's a manufacturing company, when there is production of a product, then the company has to make sure all the raw materials are used efficiently and there are no waste of the materials. And the example of number 4 is encouraging compliance to the management policies is how does the company make sure that their employees is compliant to the management policies, like when they're coming late to the company, then there are punishments, or when they don't come at all and the company can cut their wages, cut their salaries. That's how the company makes sure that the employees obey the policies in the company. So that are the examples of the internal control structures. So audit in audit, it's very important to understand internal control structure because the final objective of the audit is to provide reasonable assurance that the organization's internal control structure is reliable enough to achieve its objective. Okay, so the auditors has to make sure that the internal control structure is already good. So if they check the financial statement is reliable, it's already correct, and all the assets of the company is can be traced well, all the data is already there. So the auditor needs to make sure that the internal control structure is reliable, or the process of the accounting system has been running transparently and accountably. After the auditor make sure that the internal control structure in the company is already good, then they could continue to the checking of the financial statement. Ya, jadi tadi seperti sudah saya jelaskan ya, tujuan SPI itu untuk menjaga kekayaan organisasi, menjamin keandalan data akuntansi, meningkatkan efisiensi, dan mendorong dipatuhinya kebijakan manajemen. Jadi SPI itu semua upaya yang dilakukan oleh perusahaan untuk memenuhi ini ya. Jadi misalnya perusahaan itu memasang CCTV, merekrut satpam, kemudian gudang itu dikunci gitu sehingga aset-aset itu tuh tidak hilang gitu ya. Itu adalah upaya untuk menjaga kekayaan atau aset organisasi. Nah, kedua, menjamin keandalan data akuntansi. Jadi upaya apa sih yang dilakukan perusahaan supaya data akuntansinya handal? Jadi misalnya dia merekrut beberapa orang akuntan dengan pembagian tugas yang jelas ya, dan juga pekerjaan akuntan tersebut diawasi oleh manajer dan diperiksa oleh manajer sehingga ketika ada kesalahan atau penyimpangan dapat segera dibetulkan sesuai dengan yang benar gitu sehingga data akuntansi itu handal gitu ya. Jadi semua upaya itu adalah bentuk-bentuk sistem pengendalian internal perusahaan. Jadi bagaimana perusahaan mengendalikan aset-aset di dalam perusahaannya gitu ya, sesuai namanya sistem pengendalian internal. Kemudian tujuan yang ketiga meningkatkan efisiensi. Tadi saya contohkan misalnya ada perusahaan manufaktur ya, dia mau melakukan produksi. Nah, bagaimana supaya efisien? Perusahaan itu harus membuat sebuah peraturan supaya bahan baku yang digunakan itu sudah sesuai standar begitu ya. Tidak terlalu berlebihan sehingga boros gitu. Nah, kemudian mendorong dipatuhinya kebijakan manajemen, yaitu bagaimana upaya perusahaan untuk memastikan karyawannya itu semua patuh dengan kebijakan. Misalnya tidak membolos, tidak hadir terlambat. Nah, itu berarti harus ada konsekuensi ya. Misalnya tidak hadir kerja akan dipotong gajinya dan sebagainya gitu. Jadi itu adalah upaya untuk mencapai tujuan-tujuan SPI berikut gitu ya. Jadi itu adalah sistem pengendalian internal. Nah, ini sangat penting untuk dipahami oleh auditor ya, karena tujuan akhir audit itu memberi keyakinan yang memadai bahwa SPI organisasi cukup handal untuk mencapai tujuannya, atau proses sistem akuntansi sudah berjalan dengan transparan dan akuntabel. Jadi auditor harus yakin dulu ya kalau SPI perusahaan itu sudah berjalan dengan baik sehingga laporan keuangan yang diperiksa oleh auditor itu sudah menunjukkan data yang sebenarnya dan dapat diandalkan. Okay, so the internal control structure components consist of these four. First is control environment, risk assessment, information and communication, and also monitoring. So the auditor needs to understand these four components to understand the internal control structure of a company. So we will discuss one by one. Jadi itu tadi ya pemahaman komponen SPI. Jadi auditor itu harus memahami 4 komponen ini untuk memahami secara keseluruhan sistem pengendalian internal di perusahaan. Okay, so the first one is control environment. So control environment consists of integrity and management ethics, commitment to competence, and also the philosophy or management style. So these are the things that the auditor needs to understand about the control environment. So this is the internal control structure related to the control environment or the management environment. So first, the auditor needs to check whether there is the opportunity for fraud or not. So the auditor needs to analyze how the integrity and the management ethic is. Is the managers has the tendency to do fraud or not? And then commitment to competence, the auditor needs to check whether the company has the right people in the right places and there is there training to support these skills. Like, is the accountants in the company has the accounting background, or has the manager has already the experience to manage the people in the company, or is there any training for the accountant, for the production people, or so on? And then the philosophy or management style is how is the organizational structure, the control methods, and the general practice or the policies. Okay, so the auditor needs to understand all these things related to the control environment. Jadi, auditor itu harus memahami lingkungan pengendalian ya, komponen pemahaman SPI yang pertama ini. Jadi dia harus memahami tentang integritas dan etika manajemen. Jadi ada atau tidaknya kesempatan melakukan fraud. Kira-kira manajemennya itu punya kecenderungan untuk berbuat curang nggak? Ada kecenderungan untuk mencuri uang perusahaan nggak gitu ya. Nah, jadi auditor harus bisa menganalisis hal tersebut. Kemudian apakah di situ ada komitmen terhadap kompetensi? Jadi apakah sudah meletakkan karyawan yang tepat pada posisi yang tepat. Jadi misalnya bagian accounting itu memang latar belakangnya akuntansi, terus manajer itu sudah berpengalaman atau belum, dan sebagainya ya. Itu untuk memastikan bahwa orang-orang yang ada di perusahaan tersebut memang kompeten sehingga datanya dapat dipercaya. Selanjutnya adalah filosofi atau gaya manajemen yang terkait dengan struktur organisasi, metode pengendalian di perusahaan, serta praktek atau kebijakan umum. The next point of this internal control structure is the risk assessment. So the auditor needs to understand the risk happening in the company. So risk assessment is the management's way of assessing the risk to its financial statement. Okay, so we will discuss this inherent risk. Auditor also assess risk in the company. We call it inherent risk that we will discuss in the next meeting. Okay, so the example is the organization's ability to provide adequate cash and the remote area effects like increased cost, single supplier, and so on. So, how does the management control the risk of providing adequate cash for the company, or how can the management handle the risk of single supplier if they only have one supplier, and if the supplier is having troubles, how would he find other suppliers, such thing as that. So the auditors needs to know how the management handle the risks in the company. Okay, so if the risk of the company is really high, the auditor needs to do the audit more thoroughly. So the auditor needs to find more evidence, and they would have more time to do the audit because the risk of the company is high. But if the risk of the company is low, then the auditor don't have to check the more evidence, and they can just do the audit like effectively. Okay, so the determination of risk will greatly affect the sufficiency and competence of audit evidence. We will discuss about audit evidence in the next meeting. Oke, jadi penaksiran risiko ya. Jadi auditor itu harus melihat apakah manajemen itu mampu mengelola risiko yang ada di perusahaan tersebut dengan baik. Jadi misalnya apakah perusahaan itu bisa mencukupi aliran kas. Kemudian kalau misalnya ada kenaikan biaya, apa yang dilakukan oleh perusahaan. Terus kemudian kalau perusahaan hanya punya pemasok tunggal dan pemasoknya bermasalah, apakah dia bisa mencari alternatif pemasok lain gitu ya dan lain-lainnya. Jadi gimana sih caranya perusahaan itu bisa mengatasi resiko-resiko yang terjadi di perusahaan? Itu juga perlu dilihat ya oleh auditor. Karena kalau perusahaan tidak bisa mengatasi resiko, maka dia nggak bisa bertahan lama gitu ya. Nah, ini juga adalah salah satu komponen dari SPI. Nah, penentuan resiko ini nanti akan mempengaruhi bukti audit ya, dan akan kita bahas di pertemuan selanjutnya. Okay, the next one is information and communication. So, the company's accounting system should be able to provide a complete audit trail of each transaction. So, auditors are required to understand the data processing methods, documents and records, and also the review of previous experience with auditing organization. So all the information and communication in the company must be understood by the auditors. Information and communication here means the data processing, documents and record, the flow of the company, and also if the auditor already audit this company before, he can see the previous experience with the auditing process. Okay. Nah, jadi poin selanjutnya adalah informasi dan komunikasi ya. Jadi perusahaan, maksudnya auditor ya harus paham tentang informasi dan komunikasi yang terjadi di perusahaan, seperti metode pemrosesan datanya itu bagaimana, dokumen dan catatan yang digunakan, review ulang pengalaman terdahulu dengan organisasi yang melakukan audit. Jadi, bagaimana sih pemrosesan datanya? Jadi, misalnya ada pembelian nih ya, ada pesanan pembelian, terus pesanan pembelian itu dikomunikasikan kepada siapa? Kemudian dicatatnya bagaimana? Dokumennya apa yang digunakan? Terus mengalir kemana informasi tersebut gitu ya. Makanya itu adalah hal-hal yang harus dipahami oleh auditor. The next one is monitoring. So, auditor needs to understand what are the control policies or procedures implemented by the management. So, has the company conduct monitoring in their own company? So, auditor should use this as a tool to see whether management makes corrections to the occurrence of problems in the company's body. So, if there is mistakes happening in the company, let's take example in the accounting. If there is mistakes in inputting the data, how does the company make correction? How is the process of the correction of the data? So the auditor needs to make sure that the company already have a system to have control and corrections to all the mistakes happening in the company to make sure that the financial statement is already in correct data because every mistake is already corrected by the company itself. Jadi seharusnya auditor itu sudah memiliki proses pemantauan dan monitoring ya. Harusnya mereka sudah membuat kebijakan pengendalian dan prosedur yang ketika ada kesalahan, perusahaan itu sudah melakukan koreksi. Gitu ya. Jadi misalnya ada salah input di dalam proses akuntansi, perusahaan itu harus melakukan pembetulan. Nah, bagaimana proses pembetulan yang dilakukan oleh perusahaan sehingga laporan keuangan akhir yang dihasilkan itu sudah bisa diandalkan dan bisa diperiksa oleh auditor. Oke. The next one that we are going to discuss is the form of the company's internal control procedures. Okay, so we already discussed it before. So the examples of the control procedures of internal control is there is adequate authorization, or there is a manager who check the work of their employees and they give authorization when all the data is already correct. And then segregation of duties and function, like there is, take example in the accounting department, there are several duties and function, and not all the jobs is the same. for all the accountant, but there are different duties and function. And then there are documents and notes or records and control over each access to companies with or assets, like there is CCTV or there is uh, officers that watch the assets and the money is safe in the bank and so on. And also there is independent inspection by the company itself. There is internal auditor and so on. Jadi contohnya dari prosedur pengendalian atau SPI itu adalah otorisasi yang memadai ya tadi sudah kita sebutkan. Jadi misalnya ada manajer yang melakukan otorisasi atau pengesahan ketika akuntan selesai menginput data gitu ya. Kemudian ada pemisahan tugas dan fungsi antar masing-masing karyawan. Misalnya di Departemen Akuntansi ada yang bertugas mencatat uang, ada yang bertugas menerima order, ada yang bertugas menyimpan dana kas gitu ya. Jadi ada pemisahan tugas dan fungsi. Kemudian ada dokumen dan catatan, pengendalian atas tiap akses harta, dan juga pemeriksaan independen. Jadi pengendalian atas akses harta itu seperti ada CCTV, kemudian gudangnya dikunci gitu ya. Kemudian pemeriksaan independen itu adalah seperti audit internal yang sudah dimiliki oleh perusahaan. Jadi perusahaan sendiri itu sudah mengawasi supaya data-data yang ada di dalam perusahaan itu benar gitu ya. Semua karyawan bisa bekerja sesuai dengan peraturan yang ditetapkan. Okay, so this is the last one that we are going to discuss. How can the auditor understand the internal control of a company? So how can the auditor know whether the internal company is good or bad? How can they analyze it? Okay. So first is review of past experience with the clients. This is when the auditor already audit the client for several years. They can just review the past experience and see in the last year how was the internal control of the company. And the second one is inquire of appropriate management, supervisor, and staff personnel. So the auditor asks the management, supervisor, and staff and conduct an interview and ask whether they already have internal control in this company. They can ask whether there is different job for each employee and so on. And then inspecting documents and records and also observing the activities and operation. So the auditor can just watch whether there is CCTV or not, whether there is a security officer or not, whether the money is safe in the bank. They can just see. So the auditor can observe, they can inspect the documents, they can ask or conduct interview, or they can see the past experience with the clients. Okay, so these are the documents needed to understand the internal control of the company. First, using questionnaires and using the flow chart in the company. So when the auditor sees the flow chart of the company, they can understand the flow, how the company works in this flow chart. Okay, and then the memorandum. So auditors' written comments on the internal control. So if the auditors learn about the internal control, then they will make some notes, and that is called the memorandum. Ya, jadi ini beberapa dokumentasi pemahaman yang digunakan oleh auditor ya untuk memahami kondisi SPI dari suatu perusahaan. Jadi dia bisa menggunakan kuesioner atau rangkaian pertanyaan, kemudian melihat bagan alur dan juga komentar tertulis auditor tentang pengendalian internal ya. Nah, jadi ini adalah beberapa prosedur untuk memahami tentang SPI perusahaan. Jadi melakukan 4 hal ini, gitu ya. Nah, ini ada contoh kasus tentang internal control pada usaha kecil. Nah, internal control ini kita bahas dalam bahasa Inggris ya. So there is a small business. The owner is Mr. Brian. He recently invested in a small 18-room hotel and cafe in a remote tourist area in Lombok. While Mr. Brian lives in Malang and only plans to visit the motel periodically. Mr. Bryan then hired a young couple to manage the motel and cafe, and they will live on site in Lombok, and will have complete control over daily activities and also record keeping. Mr. Bryan is actually concerned about having little control over the operation of the motel and cafe. He has requested help in identifying possible ways the business could be defrauded and in establishing creative internal controls to deter such fraud. So let's pretend we all are the auditors here, and Mr. Bryan asks help to us as auditor to identify how his business can be defrauded, and also he asks help to make internal control to deter such fraud. So what do you think that Mr. Bryan needs here? So the couple who managed the motel and cafe would not do fraud activities here. Okay, so you can answer this case in a paper and submit it to LMS. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.